You're listening to the Love Over Addiction podcast. Hey, how are you? So we're going to start off today with a little bit of a story. Recently, I moved in my son, my oldest 20-year-old, to Gainesville to go to college. And it was the last, we were getting ready to leave. The U-Haul was packed. We were kind of organized because we're never really 100% organized. And I had to run to the grocery store to pick up some cleaning items that he is never going to use. Let's just be honest. But I wanted to just get it off the list. The Clorox, the Swiffers, the whatevers. So I get in my car with my husband. We drive off to the grocery store and I'm walking down the aisle by myself. We split up. We divide and conquer because we need to get out of there fast. So I'm walking down the aisle and in front of me is a older woman. She might have been 70, late 70s. And in front of her is a woman who looks to be my age. But then I quickly realized I don't think that's possible because she has a 3-year-old. And then I remember that I always think that I'm younger than I am. I'm oh, twinsies with the 35-year-old. And I'm not 35. I'm almost 10 years older than that. But I feel like I'm 22. Anyways, there's this woman. So I'm walking down the aisle, the soup aisle to be specific. In front of me is the older lady pushing a cart. And then in front of her is my twin sister, who has a 3-year-old in her cart. Now, these two women are unrelated, right? They don't know each other. And the little girl is whining, as little kids do. I mean, I whine, right? We all have days where we whine. We just try to cover up our whining so that nobody can hear us. So we do it in private because we feel ashamed, right? Which is a point I am getting to. And of course, I'm going to tie this into addiction, so bear with me. The little girl in the cart was whining about something. I don't know. I couldn't hear her. I don't hear those things because I've had so many kids whine for so long that I don't even notice it. But what I did notice was the woman in front of me, the older lady, say to the little girl in the cart, "Oh, you are so much prettier when you don't complain. Pretty girls don't whine." And you guys, I was like, thank God I am wearing a mask because my mouth hit the floor. My eyes bugged out and I was like, what? Wait. What are we talking about here? And I look at the mom and I'm waiting for her to be like, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but that's not the values that I want my daughter to be raised by." Or maybe just to even smile and quickly push her cart away, do. But she doesn't, you guys. She stops her cart. She looks at the little girl. The mom looks at the little girl and says, "What do you say?" And I'm thinking, wait, what is she? What is she supposed to say here? What's going on? What? And the girl looked just as confused as I felt. What do you want me to say? And the mom says, "You should say thank you. Thank you." And I'm like, what? Heck no, she shouldn't. Are you joking me? So I want to know where this conversation is going. So I pretend that I'm interested in the Chef Boyardee can. All of a sudden, I'm like, we're going to take the meat, the non-meat, the cheese. whatever options they have. I'm just throwing these Chef Boyardee cans in my cart. I'm like, my son will eat them, right? Whatever. Who cares? I got to see how this plays out. And I got to see if this is really going down the way that I am seeing it go down. So the little girl looks confused, looks at her mom, looks at the older lady, and she's like, thank you. And the mom says, well, she's very pretty when she's polite. And the older lady says, that's right. Pretty girls don't complain. Pretty girls are happy. You guys, I was like, all right, we need to have a group session. Everybody huddle. We need to discuss this right now because this older lady is passing on this, pardon my French, crap onto the younger generation, my 33-year-old twin, who is then passing it on to her young daughter. And I just sat there and said, really? Like, I get that we as women are trained from a very early age that being pretty, part of the equation of being pretty is being happy, right? We're not angry. We don't use our true voices. We don't express what we really need or what we really want. We just try to make do, right? We try to make the best of the situation. We go along to get along. But this is 2021 and times are a-changin'. And the fact that we as women need to stand up and say, this ain't working. And we can be strong, powerful, courageous people by asking for what we need and by saying no and by looking at people directly in the eye and not apologizing for our feelings. And when you love someone struggling with addiction, it is a painful experience. And the words happy and the words nice and the words whatever, like submissive words, dismissive words that shove down everything into your deepest part of your being so that you feel like you're dying inside, so that you get physically sick. That is not okay. That is what we are trying not to do. We are evolving into women who can literally say to the ones we love, this is not good enough for me. I am not going to let you continually choose addiction over my feelings. I am not going to let you continue not to come home or to lie to me or to manipulate me while I just try to make do, while I put up with this. When I was married to an addict, I remember we worked together. We were in the same building together. And you guys, we worked at a business that required clearance. So for every room you went into, you had to scan your badge. And I remember walking through a bunch of different rooms, scanning my badge. And every time I walked into a room, I would smile. I would have this plastered, fake, desperate smile that was like 2 seconds away from realizing that her life was about to fall apart, that she felt horrible about herself, that the man that she loved with was not getting sober, and that she had bet the farm on the fact that he would. So she brought in 3 young kids into this world, hoping that somehow this would help him see his potential and his future and his purpose. And knowing in her gut, knowing in the deepest part of herself that this was not the life that she was meant to live, knowing I knew that it was not going to get better. I wasn't ready to admit it to myself. I wasn't ready to admit it to anyone else. I was not even ready to admit that he actually had a problem. I was still thinking this was a phase. I was still thinking that if I smiled enough and I was polite enough and I was pretty enough and I was quiet enough and I denied all of it, myself, my feelings, what I wanted, who I was, that I would finally get what I wanted, what I needed, what I thought I needed, which was him, a sober him. Turns out I didn't need him. I needed to find me. And what I did when I was younger was deny from a very young age who I was. Turns out, you guys, surprise, I've got a big mouth. I use my voice. I use it for a living. I use it for causes. I use it to try to help. Not always accurately, but I try. My voice, my words, when I really am true to what I'm feeling, they help me. That is a part of who I am. And for so long, I was denying that. Do you guys know when I was in high school, you know those like awards that you get at the yearbook, like most successful, most likely to whatever, I don't know. You know what mine was? I was Miss Congeniality. I didn't know what that word even meant, and I'm dyslexic, so I couldn't even spell it if you asked me to, but I had to look it up, and today I looked it up again. Congenial is the root word. It's a person who's pleasant because of her personality and her qualities. She is agreeable. You guys, pleasant or agreeable because she's suited to one's taste. That's the award I won, that I was pleasant and suited for one's taste. If that is not a setup for marrying an alcoholic or addict, I don't know what is. I was accommodating. I was pleasant. I would smile with a fake plastic smile, but my eyes were terrified. My eyes were full of fear because I didn't know who to turn to. I didn't know who to talk to. And telling the truth felt so scary because I didn't think anyone else knew how I was feeling. Because at that time, this was many, many, many years ago, nobody was telling the truth about loving someone struggling with addiction. Nobody was raising their hand in the room saying, oh yeah, I got an uncle like that. I got a daughter like that. Oh, my husband's like that. My wife's like that. Nobody was talking about it. And the other scary part about it that kept me silent and pleasant and nice and pretty was the fact that I was scared that he would get mad if I told the truth. If I actually went around telling people, he might get fired, right? People would gossip. My family would try to convince me to leave. So being pretty and congenial and nice and quiet and full of denial about the actual real potential of my life was not something I entertained. It was all about his potential. Well, if I just love him hard enough, if I just clean the house more, if I just did this, how can I help? The words were constant in my head. How can I help? How can I help him? How can I help him? How can I help my kids? How can I help them? How can I help my kids live to their fullest potential, right? In school, in their friendships. How can I help my husband live to his full potential? He's a brilliant man who's good looking. He can have so many friends. He's charismatic and charming. People love him. How can I help him with his potential? Never thinking for 1 second that I was compromising my own potential, that I was compromising my own values. I didn't have any idea who the hell I was because I was so concerned with trying to get him to grow into the man that he could become. It didn't even occur to me. I thought that was my primary job. which is why it is so infuriating to me that I heard this terrible theory that in order to be pretty, we have to be quiet. We can't whine. We can't sit there and be ourselves. We can't use our voices. We can't stand for something. We're always so scared to ruffle feathers. And you know what, guys? Here's the truth, is that I am the opposite of who I was back then. I have fully grown into my full self. This is the truth, okay? When I was younger, this is just like to show you symbolically where I'm at right now. When I was younger and I was in that congenial phase, right? I remember having my first son at a very young age. I bought a Volvo. It was used. It was really old. But I bought a Volvo because I thought, well, this is the safest. I couldn't afford a minivan. And I thought, this is the safest thing for my child. So I'm going to drive a Volvo, right? And I dressed like a mom would dress, which back in that time, I thought moms wore Bermuda shorts. Do you guys know what Bermuda shorts is? I wore those. You guys, I was 23. And I wore Bermuda shorts and V-neck shirts. And I wanted to do everything perfectly as of what I thought a good mom should look like. Instead of even asking myself, well, what do I really want to wear? What do I really want to drive, right? And when I left, when I finally found the courage to leave my alcoholic husband, because I was finding my voice and I was growing into the possibility that maybe I could live up to my full potential and that I had potential, right? When I left, I made sure that the man that I ended up marrying would be fully and completely accepting of who I was and who I was going to grow into becoming. That he was okay being with a strong woman who didn't have to package things in pretty bows and try to please. I'm married to a man today who doesn't care if I wear makeup. He doesn't care if I blow dry my hair. He actually told me the other day that the thing that he likes the most about me is how outspoken I am. It helps him understand what he needs to do. He's like, I don't get all the some of your friends that just don't speak up for what they need. He's like, it's really helpful for me as a man that you step into yourself and say, hey, could you do this for me? Because I really need that. That's very, very helpful. I really appreciate that. That takes a secure guy, right? And it also takes a very loving guy who wants to please you. But today, right now, call it a midlife thing. I don't know, guys. I got a sports car. And you know what? It's got tinted windows. It borderline looks like a drug dealer's car. I'm not even going to lie. And that is hysterical given the fact of what I do, right? But it's like I saw it and I was like, that is a cool car. That's cool. And I am definitely not cool. Like that belongs to a cool person. And then we were at the dealership and he was like, that's actually really deeply discounted because nobody wants it. It's been here for a while. If you're really interested in that car, we can offer it for you for a great price. And so the fact that it was a bargain, I was like, but I should do the practical car. I should get the sedan, the really big sedan, because I have kids and they need leg room in the back. And some of them are out of the house, but I still have some living with me. And you know what? I thought about it. They discounted the car even more. I continued to think about it. They discounted the car even more. And I was like, okay, that's it. I am going to step into this car, my drug dealer car, and I am going to own it. I am. I love it, you guys. I turn on the engine and it makes that motor sound, like vroom, vroom. And I am like, this is it. I mean, I am certainly not a cool human being, but I feel so cool in this. And it's fun. You guys, it's fun. It's fun to drive. It's fun to get in my car and drive. And that is what I am saying to you. I am saying to you two things. Number one, when you're in love with someone struggling with addiction, it becomes so easy to be the woman that walks around with the plastic smile on her face because you are barely hanging on. I get it. But I am challenging you today to ask yourself, what is your potential? Who are you really? Are there layers that you need to peel back because you've been hiding out in a shell of what you think you should be or doing what you think you should do, instead of refusing to be the meek girl who's hanging on to a relationship that might be abusive or might be unhealthy out of fear that she cannot be loved again, out of fear that she does not deserve more, out of fear for not being pretty. Give me a break. You have got so much potential in there. There is a world of dreams that you have not gotten in touch with yet, that are waiting to come out, that are living within you. You've just been so consumed and distracted and addicted to addiction and helping everyone around you. I know what that feels like. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say, life is glorious for me now that I've got my little sports car. No, it's still really difficult to be the woman in the room that is living her true potential. And guess what? You guys, who I really am is somebody who's very direct, right? I don't beat around the bush. I get that feedback a lot from you all. I'm very real. I'll say my dirty laundry right from the get-go, and I want to know your dirty laundry, and we can just share dirty laundry stuff, and that is awesome to me. I cannot do small talk. That is something I dropped a long time ago. I can't do it. I'm not good at it, and frankly, I don't care about it. I love the deep, real stuff. And I love being direct. And I am a little bit more alpha male. And I hate saying alpha male because who's to say just because you're an alpha that you have to be a male? Last night, I was watching Top Gear. Have you guys seen this? My son is into it. And he's working on a project. So he's like, let's watch some Top Gear. And we watched like the old version where they're English. And the guy on the show was test driving a car, and he was like, this car is classic for alpha males. Alpha males love this car. And it was a brand of car that I own. And I looked at my daughter and I'm like, wait a second, I own that brand of car. And my daughter looked at me and goes, exactly, Mom, you are an alpha male. And I thought to myself, of course, I was like, well, first of all, my old self, my miscongeniality was like, oh no, maybe I need to be quieter more. Maybe I need to be more agreeable. Maybe I need to keep like a low-key profile. What if I upset people? Oh my gosh, I'm too harsh. I knew I was too harsh. And then the next second, I was like, no. Remember, we're working on embracing who you are, right? Like, I'm still working on it, guys, because it's counterintuitive to how I was raised and what I grew up with. And frankly, the women in the grocery store, right? Like, women are even teaching women this stuff. It's not even, it's not just the men. It's the women that are perpetuating this. And so I have to check myself. I have to give myself pep talks all the time, all day long. Every time I get behind a computer or I talk to you guys, there's the voice that I'm saying that's talking to you. And then there's this other voice inside of my head that's saying, Well, people are going to be upset about that. They're going to write in and say those awful things about you. You're finally going to get canceled. People aren't going to understand. It's constant chitter chatter. Like that, you don't reach a point where at least I don't know anyone that's reached a point where you're fully, completely, 100% accepting and confident of who you are. I don't know anyone like that. And so if you're waiting to arrive at this point in order to decide whether you stay or leave with your addictive partner, it's not going to happen. You're just going to have to make the decision and continue to live with the chatter in your head. Elizabeth Gilbert, I was just reading her book, Big Magic. It's fantastic. She's one of my favorite all-time writers. And you guys might have heard this. She talks about fear and saying it's like you take a road trip, right? It's like your life is a road trip. And there's you, the passenger, there's creativity as the co-pilot, and there's fear in the back seat. And fear will always be riding in your back seat. It's always going to be present. It's just you have to make an agreement with fear and say, I accept that you're here in the back seat, but you cannot touch the radio, you cannot touch the map, and you will never be able to make a decision. That is amazing, right? Elizabeth Gilbert is amazing. The point is that you guys, when you are married or in a relationship with someone that is dealing with addiction issues, it is so important for you to recognize that fear is actually going to help you, because it's never going to leave you even if you leave them. So it's going to help you in the sense of recognizing that it's like it's like the silent reminder in your head of what not to do. Whatever fear is telling you to do, in most situations, of course, unless it's like, don't jump off that bridge, right? Or don't put yourself in dangerous situations. Pay attention to it and then think about what is the opposite? Is the opposite of what fear is telling you to do brave? If it's brave, if it's courage, then do it. If it's stupidity, then don't, right? Like, I would never lecture my kid and say, don't pay attention to fear when you're talking about fire. That makes no sense at all. But when you're thinking about fear, pay attention to it and say, if the antithesis of fear is courage, what is the most courageous thing you can do? Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just saying no. Maybe, just maybe, if you've been keeping a quiet mouth in your relationship with your loved one, it's giving yourself that voice finally. Now, we've talked about this before, particularly if you're involved with someone who has a drinking issue or a drug issue or, tends to get high. It is incredibly important that you give words to your feelings. I am not ever suggesting when I say keep a quiet mouth that you just shut up and put up. Ever. That will never, ever come out of my mouth. What I am suggesting is that you use your discretion and time it well. Know when is an appropriate time to talk to them, where you will actually be productive and it will serve you, and know when to just stay in your lane and keep a quiet mouth. If they are drinking, if they are actively high, that is the time to practice quiet mouths. You will not rationalize or get anywhere with someone who is out of their mind. You're not going to get satisfied. You're not going to get what you want. It's not going to be a good outcome. And chances are they might not remember it the next day. Any progress you think you may have made may not be, available to you for them to remember the next day. But definitely consider the idea that it is okay. Not only okay, it is so healthy for you to voice your pain, your suffering, your fears, your loneliness, your needs. I mean, I have best friends, you guys, that are in marriages with really good guys. And these are sober men that really want to love their wives hard. Like, they want to please their wives. I know these men. And my friends are scared to say what they need. This is what I'm talking about. This is why at the beginning at the grocery store, I was like, please no. Let me just take you, little girl, off to the side and let me give you a better version. Because you guys, it is completely needed for you to ask what you need in your relationship. Now, I know that some of you don't want to ask for what you need because you're afraid that you're not going to get it. I know that. Like, you are afraid because there's a part of you that goes, I can ask, but it's going to absolutely make me devastated and heartbroken that they're not going to try and help me. I'm going to be vulnerable to ask for what I need because that takes vulnerability. And I am telling you, try to practice radical vulnerability, radical truth, because they will meet you where they're at or they won't. But either way, it is going to help you understand the reality of your relationship. If they're not meeting your needs, that's all the information you know to make future decisions for you. You'll be able to say, I've literally asked for what I needed. I have taken the leap of faith and courage and said, this is what I want. I need you to be home on time every night. If you are going to be late drinking, I need to know that. I need you to answer your phone whenever I call you because I am panicked that you are off doing your drugs or drinking or cheating on me again. I need you to stop using drugs. I need you to get sober for me, for our relationship, for our children. I need you to find steady employment and help bring in an income. I need you to ask me how I'm doing and sit down with me and actually be interested in what I'm telling you. I need to feel noticed. I need to feel appreciated. I need you to scan the room and the house multiple times a week and point out what you think I've done well. I need you to pour down that beer down the drain. I need you to start a retirement plan with me. I need you to go on that vacation with me. And you know what? I need you to not drink one sip of alcohol during that entire vacation. These are things that you deserve. And if your loved one cannot give them to you after you've asked, I know that is heartbreaking. I know that is devastating. But guess what? It is power. It puts you back in the position of power because now you are equipped to make decisions about your future. Now you understand what your true expectations should be. Now you can't sit around there and go, well, I don't know if he'd ever get sober if I really begged him. I don't know if she would ever get sober if I asked her to pour down the liquor or throw out the pills or stop gambling our money away. You know? You could even be so brave. I know that sex is a huge part of a relationship with somebody, and you could even say no to sex. You could sit there and make your needs known and say, I can't be with you physically until I feel validated and appreciated and loved by you. Can you get sober for me? And then we can be intimate together. That is power. If they say no, and the fact that you're asking me that makes me want to go sleep with someone else, good. I say good. I say great. Why? Because you know the truth. You know what you're dealing with. Then you can ask yourself the question, okay. They are thinking, my partner is thinking about being with somebody else if I don't sleep with them. Am I okay with that? Is that okay with me? Do I want to be with somebody who's basically giving me an ultimatum? Maybe you are. I don't know. Maybe you're not. This is up to you. I'm not going to tell you what's right or wrong or why you should consider leaving or why you should consider staying. And I am sure as heck not going to judge you. But what I am going to say is that please consider the idea that you are pretty, that you are beautiful. If you are whining, if you are not okay, if you use your voice, if you sit there and ask for what you need, if you say no, if you use your mouth for good, for change, in my mind, that makes you so much prettier. That makes you so much more attractive and beautiful. I would love to live in a world where every single woman ditched all the stuff, the shenanigans, the creams and the lotions and the injections and the salads and all the stuff. And we just looked at each other and said, okay, I'm going to be the most real me. And look, I'll raise my hand, you guys. I do the lotions. Come check out my bathroom. You know, I do some of it. I don't do all of it. And I don't feel the need to do it every day. And the older I'm getting, the more comfortable I am in my drug dealer sports car, driving around with no makeup and creams and frizzy hair and pants. Joggers specifically, I'm going through a jogger phase right now, which feels really healthy for me. I'm getting there. I'm slowly entertaining the idea that pretty and beautiful is going back to my organic self, the truest self. It is not labels of clothing. It is not ambition. And I mean, ambition is good. I don't want to say it's not good, but that hustle mentality, work harder, work longer, be better, get promoted. You know, as I'm getting older, I'm realizing it is okay for me to just be me, all of it. And thank God I have married a guy that is totally okay with that too. You know, because I don't think my first husband would have been. He married the pretty girl. He married the pretty Volvo girl. He married the girl that was like blow drying her hair because he didn't like curly hair. You know, he married the girl that was smiling through all the pain, who was willing to sit up and shut up and be lonely and suffer alone because she was too scared. She was too afraid of making him mad. She was too afraid of ruffling feathers and raising her hand and saying, I need help. I need companionship. I need friends. I need support. I need a therapist. I need help. I cannot do this alone. I do not know what to do next. I don't even know who I am. I'm so lost. I've lost my ways. In fact, I don't even think I was my way ever before. But this isn't it. And now I'm ready to reach my potential. Okay, so I didn't say it to the 3-year-old or my twin sister, who's not my twin sister, just in case you thought she was. I have no relation. I don't even know her name. And I didn't say it to the older lady. But I'm saying it to you. In fact, you guys, after they left, I went to the next aisle and hid and grabbed my phone, even though I was supposed to be getting cleaning products and we were in such a hurry. I took out my phone and I wrote this down so I could tell you. I'm like, I have to tell them. They need to know about this. Right? What's your potential, guys? What is inside of you? What is that little light, that little spark, that thing, that idea that lights you up, that gets you excited, that gives you hope, that has absolutely nothing to do with your relationship? What is it? That's the question of the week. That's where I'm going with this today. I want to know, what is it for you? All right. I love you. And I know for a fact you are full of potential. And I want to hear your voice. I want to hear all of it. If it's loud, If it's quiet, if it's soft, if it's an introvert, if it's an extroverted voice, I want to hear it. But I want to hear the truth. I really, really think you deserve that. All right, I'll talk to you next week. This podcast is created for your support, encouragement, and entertainment with my personal thoughts and beliefs. We are bonded together by the fact that we love someone suffering from addiction. This is not intended as a substitute for therapy or advice from a professional.